I'm Alex Biega.
And I'm Rob Kilgore with Compass in Boston.
We thought it would be helpful to put together a video for you on the new construction process in Boston. In 2021, this upcoming year, we have a number of developers who have projects underway, and there's some great opportunity for customization. So stay tuned and we'll give you a high-level overview of what building a new construction brownstone entails.
On average, in the South End, Back Bay, and Beacon Hill, for example, with a brownstone renovation, you're usually looking at anywhere between 9 months to a year and a half, depending on the permitting process and depending on the size of the building. And of course, how quickly the decisions are made by a buyer who might get involved in the purchase. The first step after the developer purchases the building is to acquire the permits in order to demolish the inside.
As demolition is underway, we begin work with the developer and an architect to design the first draft of floor plan. At this point in the project, if a buyer becomes interested in the property, there is opportunity for the next couple months to tweak the floor plan and make a back. Typically, a developer will provide any given buyer with the floor plan and a specifications sheet, otherwise known as a finish schedule. And this is sort of how a buyer bases their decisions on customization for the project. So for example, in a spec sheet, you might have the appliance package, the countertop choice, the paint colors, the floor type. And the way it typically works is if a buyer wants to trade something out, then they can swap it out for something equal in price to what is currently planned on the spec sheet. However, there's also opportunity to upgrade certain items if having a specific stove is really important.
So outdoor space is always something that any given developer will try to deliver in a new construction condo conversion. Obviously, penthouse homes will have the roof deck and hopefully a rear deck off the back. Lower level duplexes will have a nice garden that may feed out to direct access parking. The size of the deck, whether it's off the back of the building or on the top, will be determined by the historic group in the neighborhood. Typically, for example, around the South End, we'll see approximately a 6-foot deep deck regularly approved. On the tops of the buildings, they do like to have some setback on the front and the rear so that the decks are not too visible from the sidewalk. But as of late, the developers have had good luck with getting outdoor space approved on a regular basis.
So the way we typically market a project that is new construction and hasn't been built yet is providing any given buyer with the floor plan, the spec sheet as mentioned before, and we also create computer-generated images. So we take the finishes and the design that the developer is planning, and we have a professional company create basically a virtual rendering so that we can give the buyers a sense of the direction and the kind of vibe of the unit. In addition, we also usually send photos of any given developer's previous projects that they've finished in the last couple years, and this really gives a sense of style. The offer process and timeline is a little bit different for new construction than it is for a resale. The way it works is once you have a property in mind, you place an offer on the property, which is actually a standard offer document, and before the purchase and sale is signed, which is usually 10 days, it can be up to 3 weeks for a project. All the specifications and changes and things like that are hammered out during that time. And when the purchase and sale is signed, that's usually when a 5% or 10% deposit will be due. And then after that, there's nothing typically due until the project is completely finished and you're ready to close. In any given year, we probably do like a third to half of our business in off-market new construction. And one thing to note if you are considering looking for new construction is a lot of these projects do trade off-market. For the most part, a developer won't want to put their property out there on the public market until it's finished, so that some people have the vision to walk in and say, wow, this is going to be an amazing space, even when it's just framing or dirt, whatever it might be, and they can look at the floor plans and they kind of understand. However, the majority of people kind of need to see the finished product, and so they'll wait until it's completely finished or close to finished to put it out there officially on the public market. So it's really important to find an agent or an agent team, if you're looking, who has the relationships with the developers and spends, day in and day out looking at these properties and can provide those off-market opportunities for you.
Currently, we're working on 5 different new construction projects in the city. These buildings range from
5 different developers too.
Yes, 5 different developers. These buildings range from condominium conversions, which have duplexes in the mid-2s, up to single-family homes in the mid to high 4s.
Yeah, it's a good mix of duplexes, triplexes, and single families that should be, coming available.
Yeah, most of them have parking. All of them have some sort of outdoor space, and we feel
And they're all in really strong. One of my favorite things about working on these new construction projects is we get to see firsthand the new and best trends that developers and designers are putting in their homes. And I love a really cool master bathroom. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably know that. And so there's a concept that I've been seeing recently, which is a wet room concept, which is basically an entire master bath that can get wet. And so it's fully tiled. So, sometimes you'll have a completely open shower, whether it's 2 rain heads or just a single, and maybe a tub off to the side. But there's no real glass enclosure. It's all open. Which I just think is really cool. And then you have the heated floors on top of that. And I think it's just a really different new style of bathroom.
For me, the impressive differentiator with these new construction condo conversions is what a lot of developers are doing, which is a back wall, which has a lot of glass on it, if it's not floor to ceiling glass. Obviously that allows the home to connect better to the outside world. It allows you to expand the space that is inside, and obviously it offers a lot more light.
And it's really, that actually is pretty expensive to do. So it's impressive that a lot of these developers are choosing to go that extra step and, do what they need to do structurally to make sure you can have an awesome curtain glass of curtain wall. It's really hard to pick a favorite project, and it's been really fun doing these over the last 4 years since I joined Rob. But I would probably have to say it would be my first new construction project. I was working with some really lovely buyers of mine, and we were looking for quite a while and couldn't really find the perfect place. And so we came across this opportunity to fully customize a lower triplex on a phenomenal street. And the developer of the project was Sean Kennedy, and he had a interior designer who was working with him on the project, which was really fun. So I kind of got to help the buyers pick their finishes alongside the developer and the designer. And so I really got to learn a lot about the process. And that was probably about 3 or 4 years ago now. And there were just some cool features of the place that I thought were really cool. The rear deck, which was grandfathered in, was about 10 feet deep, which was pretty special. And Sean did this transparent flooring on the deck so that natural light could go down into the next level, which was the master bedroom level, where otherwise the deck would kind of shade that level. So I thought that was really cool. And then he also put a 4 seasons room down the lower level, which is usually the additional living space. So I thought that was kind of cool. He had glass sliders that opened up into this mahogany 4 seasons room, and I had never seen that before. So yeah, it's really fun.
So one of my favorite projects that comes to mind was a building in the south end on the private Montgomery Park that we did several years ago. It was one of the larger, more complicated projects that we've been involved in. A lot of engagement with the neighborhood association and the immediate abutters, but it was a success. One question that people ask us a lot is the valuation of new construction condo conversions versus regular resales. And while some people might prefer to buy a home and perform the renovation on their own, most people prefer to just buy the key. And that means just buying the home after it's finished, opening up the boxes from the move, opening up a bottle of wine, and settling in. And those are the buyers that are okay with paying a premium for a home that is turnkey.
So we hope this was helpful, and if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out anytime via email, text, Instagram, whatever it might be. And also, if you're interested in hearing about what opportunities might be out there right now, definitely feel free to connect with us.
Thanks for listening.